Looking for love guidance or tips on how to date someone? Maybe you're single and playing the dating game, or in a long-term relationship. There's something to be learned about how to recognize love. Tune in to True Love Knots by Maria Romano as she deep dives into everything about love, dating advice, wedding tips, entrepreneurship, and so much more. No matter your relationship status, Maria Romano has something to teach you about love, romance, staying together, breaking up, and everything in between.
Hey everybody, there's a topic I want to bring up today that's really close to my heart and hit home for me. As you know, I like to talk about love. I like to talk about relationships. But what happens when a relationship, you part ways in a relationship? And let's take it in two areas. Let's talk about when you're in a professional relationship, you work for a company, you work for a person, and you are leaving that company, you're parting ways, right? Now, what happens sometimes is people that are quietly quitting, if you're quietly quitting, we just don't show up the next day. You know, I ran a rental car company for many years, and there were times when somebody just didn't show. And that was their way of quitting, which really is unfortunate that they don't feel confident in themselves or their team leader to share why they're leaving. And even if they're leaving for something better, you always want to wish them well. And this is something that's really important where companies, that are leading people miss the mark. And you might have an HR department that does do an exit interview. And an exit interview is very important, no matter how large or how small your company is. It's important to take the time to find out why that person is leaving the company. Even, like I said, if they're going on for good reasons, and to also listen with an open mind. Sometimes you might have somebody tell you something that they felt was wrong and why they're leaving the company, and they felt that maybe what you did or what somebody else did wasn't exactly how they saw it should have been handled. And sometimes they could be right, but because we have blinders on and we think a certain way, we don't necessarily have an open mind. So when somebody is going to be leaving your organization, really take the time to say, hey, I would love to sit down with you. I would just love to hear your thoughts on why you're leaving. And maybe it's better pay, maybe something came up in their personal life. And is there anything you would like to share with us on how we can make what we're doing better? And I know this sounds tough to do, and it's a big pill to swallow, but that's important to do that, because when you do, you're not burning bridges on both ends. So if you're the person that's working for the company and you actually sit down and you articulate why you're leaving, and you do it with a way where you're not bringing your emotions in, you're leaving on good terms. And also the person that's talking to you, hopefully they will have an open mind and take whatever you're sharing with them as positive feedback, even if there's things that you should be doing differently in your company. And that's important to document that. And it's important that you part ways with grace, with integrity, right? So that you just never know what, number one, where you're going to be maybe working together again, or you might need a reference, whatever it is. You never know how somebody's going to cross your path. So you want to part ways in a professional way and in a way that's very noble, right? And you have and it shows how much integrity you have as an individual for your position you had and for the company. Now, let's talk about personal relationships. And this is something that really struck home with me, because I had this happen in my personal life. And that's when I started thinking, we have exit interviews in companies, but what about when you part ways with somebody that you've had a relationship with? Now, it could be divorce, okay, or you could have been dating somebody for a while, living with somebody, and you part ways. And sometimes what happens is a person ghosts you. Okay. And that's what I was talking about too, even when it's done in the professional world. First of all, you should never do that. You should never ghost somebody. That is like the worst form of abuse. That's the silent treatment. That shows how immature you are as an individual, because you don't want to have any confrontation, any conflict. And conflict is good. There's nothing wrong with conflict as long as you're able to share and articulate in a way where you're not hurting anybody. So one thing I did forget to say is in your professional life, just don't ghost somebody. Don't just say, I'm not going to show up. Don't do that. It just leaves somebody with a sour taste in their mouth, and you never know. The same thing when it comes to personal relationships, excuse me. Don't ghost somebody. Don't give them the silent treatment. If there is something that happened, at least say, listen, you know what? This is not working out. Can't give you what you want, whatever it is. And say, right now, I really can't articulate why. Maybe later on you circle back and share with them. And I recently had something personal happen to me. And this is why I'm bringing this to you, because you know what? It's really opened my mind and heart that we need to have better communication in this world. Even when it's in our personal relationships, we need to have an exit interview. And that's why an exit interview is just as important in your personal life as it is your professional life. Because you know, I know myself in my personal relationship I just had, I exited with grace and class and integrity. I was articulate. I didn't get angry, and the other party did, and totally surprised me. But that's okay. I am not responsible for anyone else's behavior. But it's important that even if somebody else's behavior is bad behavior, is not the way you want to be treated, it doesn't mean you treat them the same way. You still hold your head up high. You still have class, you still articulate well, in your heart, you wish them well, and you move on. Okay, and maybe there's a lesson to be learned with any type of breakup that you've had in your life, that when you go back and make sure you exit with grace, make sure you exit with class and with integrity, because it's only fair to the other party that you're involved with, but you know what? It's fair to you too. When you do the right thing, when you know you did the right thing, you have a clear conscience. You can sleep at night, even though things might not have gone the way you wanted them to. So exit interviews are very important, whether it's in your professional life, make sure you don't burn bridges, and even in your personal life, you just never know when you're going to cross paths again. So in the meantime, my question to you is, when was the last time you had an exit interview? And how did you handle it? Have a great day.